Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing awesome. We're back. We're back on the Saving Humanity podcast. Here we are. It's like we never left, and I'm so excited to be here with you sharing. And I've got something special for you. I really do. I've got, it was my birthday week. I turned 38. And I thought for the podcast, because I always think, should I have guests? Should I do? I thought, you know what? For at least this episode, I'm going to talk about the things that are unique to me. There's 5 things that I think I've experienced in life that hardly anybody has. And I don't know if anyone has experienced all 5 of these things at once. And if I add the last one, definitely no one has. Like, there's just no way someone's had all these things. And so it's amazing how unique, when I was kind of, delving into what I was going to do, it's amazing how unique we all are. I mean, it is insane. There's not just from a genetic standpoint that we're unique, but also like just the life we've lived, the experiences, we can never be copied over. I mean, we could never be replicated. And so it was awesome to do this, just to see like, man, we're all kind of on our own journey and unique. So I have a theory that one day people in the future are going to be able to like time travel or like see videos from the past, like somehow see us, and they're going to like just like we watch TV shows, they'll pick somebody from like 3,000 years prior and then just like watch their life and just be like captivated. Once they've like figured out how to live forever and all this kind of stuff, that they'll just like, okay, let's get on the, whatever device they're looking on and like watch this person's life and kind of watch it unfold, And so here we are. So 5 things that I think are unique to me, and then a bonus one that's definitely unique to me. My first one, I worked in college football. I coached in college football. I worked in college football. And I don't know how many people can say that, but it can't be that high of a percentage of the population. And as I sort of look back at my life and the things that, football taught me, as I adjust my belt and make it tighter right now, or kind of fix it. There we are. We're here. If you're seeing this right now, that's intentional. So the first thing about working in college football, I'm just going to take the belt off, but here we are, unedited right now, behind the scenes. The first thing that kind of I think makes this unique, or my life unique, is I worked in college football. Now, I tell people all the time, college football is like legalized mafia. It really is. Like it is like the mafia, okay? There's lies, manipulation, bullying. People are told something, then they're lied to, and it's like nothing happened. Like, players are seen as like cattle. You're moving from this player to that player. It's definitely a how much can you get out of somebody game, which I totally understand. Nothing wrong with that, per se. But I'm glad the players are getting paid now, because at least they can negotiate things. They can get something for their time instead of just a degree, which, sometimes isn't even that valuable. And so I think it's a beautiful thing that people are being paid now. And, it helps. It's cleaned up at least some of this, or it's made it more win-win for the players. But working in college football taught me that, like, people can say the best things to you. They can say the nicest things to you. They can say they're into self-development and they're, it doesn't mean anything. What a person, this is something I've learned. What a person says, is what they say. But there's a quote I love. What you do speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you say. And it's crazy, but like the things you do, or you see someone do, or someone does to you, that's way more impactful than what they say they are, or what they say they're going to do. What you say, what you do speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you say. So that's sort of the first thing that I learned in college football. It's probably a lot like being in politics. It's just the people, interpersonal relationships, and the ability to negotiate inner dynamics of relationships is more important than skill. In college football, for the longest time, it's been who can, sort of curry favor or, have those great interpersonal relationships. Those are the people who move up. It's not necessarily the most skilled. It's not really a meritocracy as much as it is, who can kind of network the best and so forth. So, but there's something about life with that. And only, for the most part, that the tough survive. the tough survive in college football. It really is. The people who never quit, who consistently show up, and who just last and last and last, and then have those relationships. Something else I think is unique to me as I travel through space and time is I've lived in 10 states, and each state I've lived in, I've learned something. I've learned what to do or what not to do, and and they say in Europe every 500 miles is different. Well, I think in the United States every 500 miles is a little different culturally, like sort of how you can take people at face value, or if you have to read between the lines and so forth, or someone's just energy levels, their outgoingness, so on and so forth. So out of the 10 things I've learned, here's a couple of just overall general things. There's awesome people everywhere. There's people who are doing the best they can everywhere. And wherever you are, you subconsciously do look at the behavior, and it can affect you. It can, get in your brain or certain behaviors. But the states I've lived in, start with my home state of Alabama. First of all, I'm thankful to be from Alabama. It's awesome that I had the opportunity to grow up in Mobile, Alabama, and go to the beach and be on the water, and I'm so thankful. Some things I learned from there is to talk to everybody, to be kind. People are our most important asset in this world, and how you treat people, how you connect with people matters. And you don't know down the road, where you can help them, or they might have to help you. The Scots-Irish down in Alabama, the English from the highlands, and the people who settled the South, name and reputation, not being afraid of standing up and doing things, and sort of your pride and your honor coming before all else. It's a different culture down there. Malcolm Gladwell covers that in his book, The Outliers, and he talks about how in the South, you have to sort of stand up for yourself all the time. There's been court cases where someone was getting bullied or picked on, and they ended up killing somebody, and it was not guilty. And that sort of Southern culture is just a way of life, and they inherit it from the Highlands over in England, and the black culture in America. There's a book Thomas Sowell wrote, and he speaks about this, how the black culture in America in the South is modeled after the white culture. So the black slaves, and then eventually free people, would watch the people in the South, and they act like them. The culture of, like, you can't disrespect somebody, you can't let somebody disrespect you. That's all in Alabama. And I've had to unlearn some things. I've had to see a bigger picture. Also, though, I'm proud of how I grew up, and I think there's nothing wrong with speaking your truth and having boundaries, and you train people how to treat you. Mississippi. I lived in Mississippi. Man, you can be happy and content in any surroundings. The poorest state in the United States, and yet the people are kind. They're happy. You can have a humbleness and a kindness no matter what your surroundings look like and what your own life looks like. And maybe you should shoot for more and strive for more. Also, though, in Mississippi, you can still be happy. You can still be content. You can still enjoy your life no matter what the environment around you is. I learned that living in Mississippi. Missouri. I lived in western Missouri, 45 minutes from Kansas City. I'd go to Kansas City all the time, and I worked at the University of Central Missouri. I actually wore the shirt today just to show. But Missouri taught me that, when you get a bunch of good, decent quality humans together, you're going to have a pretty good society. Kansas City area was the first time I had ever really left the Southeast. And I was like, okay, this is what other people live like. They're relatively wealthy. They have stuff. It's just a different paradigm of which people in the Kansas City area live compared to people in the Southeast. Especially the more rural parts of Alabama or Mississippi. So Missouri taught me that wow, you can get a bunch of good people together and do quite a bit. Next place I lived was Wyoming. Wyoming was awesome. Worked at the University of Wyoming, and Wyoming taught me that man, people can be free. Wyoming is the freest state there is. Okay, the people, they're not culturally conservative, but they love their freedom. Okay, they're culturally conservative, but not as much as you might think. Wyoming loves their freedom. They live their own life. They're not really overly religious. They want the government to stay away from them, and they do stuff Those people work hard. Hard work, being free, being your own person. Like, it's a beautiful thing. And you see it in Wyoming. Things happen quick there. Things populate quick. I mean, there's a great economy there, and that's what Wyoming taught me. I lived in Denver, Colorado. Now, Denver taught me a couple different things. Number one, people of all political persuasions can be good people. People of all political persuasions can be good people. They can help you. They can have a kindness in their heart. They can have a different perspective, but they're really good humans. And there's a place in society for a lot of different kind of people. And so that's what Denver, Colorado taught me, is that, there's great, awesome people everywhere. And Denver, Colorado also taught me that, like, hey, you can enjoy your life. Like, you can just be kind of chill, laid back, and actually enjoy your life. Like, you don't have to hustle, or you don't have to, you can just enjoy. Denver, Colorado taught me that. Like, man, you can just enjoy your life and just enjoy nature, I moved to Cincinnati, Ohio. And if you go from Denver to Cincinnati, Ohio, it can be a very unique experience. But Cincinnati taught me a lot. It really did. It taught me that, like, man, there's a lot of kind people who want to help. There's a lot of good humans. There's a backbone of America, sort of in the old Rust Belt. And, working class people still love their life. They still have a lot to give. And, there's things you learn what not to do, but also you see a lot of good in just normal everyday people, You get more in touch with humanity. On that sort of note, I lived in Johnson City, Tennessee. And Johnson City, Tennessee was great. And it also taught me that, like, small towns, man, the people stay there for generations and generations and generations. And, they can really embrace you and take you in. It's a kindness and a love that you don't have in big cities. And in small little towns, the people can really, they have a love for their fellow man. I'll give you a story. I was driving my car one day, and so I've had a couple of neck surgeries, and it's kind of messed some things up. And this was maybe just relatively recently after one of my neck surgeries. And I was driving a car, and I actually kind of went into a ditch. I was pulling onto like a little turn, and there wasn't any rails on the side, and I kind of just went into a ditch. It wasn't very It wasn't a very high drop off, but it was maybe 3 feet or something, and my tire just kind of went off the side, and I was stuck. And out of nowhere, as my car stuck in this ditch, like 3 guys on 4-wheelers came out of the blue and helped me. And they were like country, mountain hillbilly types, okay? And came and like had like a winch and like pulled my car out, and I just couldn't believe it. I was just so amazed and impressed and thankful. And they were like, "Man, have a good day." I was like, "Dude," why would you do this? They said, "We don't want you to call the law. We do not want you to call the police. We do not want the law around here." And some of that old Scots-Irish ancestry in East Tennessee and all these places, it still lives on. They do not like the government, There's a lot of rebel flags and Trump flags, and, but Johnson City taught me, that, like, you can really love people at a deep level, even if you don't know them. And small towns will teach you that. Also, though, you may not want to stay there forever. Like, if you have ambitions and goals, sometimes small town can kill those, or the people just aren't motivated to chase those. So I lived in Austin, Texas. Living in Austin, Texas taught me that, like, energy attracts other energy. The tech, entrepreneurship, the fashion, the music, that industry, that sort of people go there to succeed. It attracts other people who go there to succeed, and it's a domino effect. It's an upward spiral. And Austin, Texas taught me that, like, you really start behaving like other people. When you see people who are all in, who are motivated, who are smart, who are driven, it makes you better. And so that was my Austin, Texas experience. It's like Disney World for adults. I always say Austin, Texas is like Disney World for adults. I lived in New Hampshire. Wow. Okay. New Hampshire taught me this. There's great quality people everywhere. And even if on the surface they're not as friendly, there's just awesome humans. There's people who will, salt of the earth, and they're in those corners in the Northeast, and they're in these little small towns, and they live outside Boston. Boston has some of the nicest people you'll ever meet. Like, believe it or not, Boston has some of the most real, kind, authentic humans that you'll ever meet. And sometimes if you treat people with respect and you don't, have a judgment of them to begin with, you can really break through and have awesome connections and friendships. I lived in Rapid City, South Dakota. Wow. Rapid City, South Dakota. Western South Dakota. What did Western South Dakota teach me? Man, it taught me that, like, first of all, the Norwegians, awesome people. Like, the Norwegians, if we could get like 25 million Norwegians in the United States right now, our country would be so much improved. I don't even think Norway's that big. It's not even close. But the Norwegians are awesome. And people of Norwegian descent, they're great. Just kind, loving, smart. They're open-minded. And, you know, it's awesome to be around them. And in South Dakota, in Western South Dakota, there's a lot of Norwegians. And so being around them, you know, was awesome. And people love their freedom there. People want to be left alone. People want to do their own thing. And they want to enjoy their life too. You know, they also enjoy their life. They have fun. And South Dakota taught me that, like, you can have hard work and enjoy your life, you know, and also just connect with really good people. Salt Lake City, Utah. Salt Lake County. Where do I start when I talk about Salt Lake City, Utah? I've lived here a little over 3 years. Of the 10 places I've lived, this is my favorite. The smartest people, the highest vibration people, the people who come from like the best genetic makeup I've ever seen. I'm telling you, it's right here in Salt Lake. People may not believe that. It's true, though. Salt Lake City, it attracts people with a high vibration. There's also just a lot of good quality people here. People who create businesses, who make podcast studios, who do all kind of things that normal places and normal states will not have done. Utah has a sense of excellence. And it's a lot like Utah. It's a lot like New Hampshire. Utah is a lot like New Hampshire. If the train's supposed to run at 8 o'clock, they really want it to run at 8 o'clock. And it's kind of nice to be in an atmosphere like that, you know. And Utah's just awesome. I mean, the people here, you can learn from them. And Utah taught me, like, the fact that, I mean, Salt Lake City, Salt Lake County, being in the Salt Lake area has taught me that you can expand so much. There's so many great people to learn from. There's so many great people to be motivated from. And there's just such high quality people. It gives me faith in humanity. And when I leave Salt Lake area and travel to different states, I'm like, man, you guys have experienced this if you know what I'm talking about. You're like, wow, Salt Lake's awesome. Utah's great. I want to get back there. My next thing I want to talk about. Now, this is a sensitive subject for me, and I've never shared this publicly. And before I do this, I'm going to fix my hair. But the next big thing that's unique to me was being canceled. That's right. I was canceled online, and I'll tell you how. So I teach school, and I work with adults with special needs. And I'm in New Hampshire, and I'm teaching, and I'm working with adults with special needs. And when you work with adults with special needs, one of the things that you do is you take them out in the community. You talk to people, you socialize, you take them places. And I worked with a couple guys who, on the surface, they didn't even look like they would have a special need. Also, they were kind of rough looking. They were older gentlemen, and, you know, sometimes folks with special needs don't shower all the time, or their clothes are a little different. You know, they're not, you know, cleaned up or tidy and so forth. And so I'm working with these guys who have a special need, and basically we would go out. I was living in New Hampshire, I had an Alabama license plate, and it was, you know, smaller towns, and we go out and talk to people. And we talked to so many people that there was someone, because of an interaction with one of the individuals I work with who has special needs, thought that the individual was a threat, even though it was just they had special needs, and they couldn't infer or read it. And so they started a Facebook post where they were like, hey, there's 3 guys, and they go around talking to everybody. I think they're human traffickers, and they traffic people. And it kind of started like that. And then because I wasn't very well known in that town, I was new, and then the guys couldn't defend themselves, it kind of got some traction, you know, a couple hours after being posted. And it kind of just took on a life of its own, you know. And there was someone said that they were 17 years old, and one of the, you know, clients spoke to them, and I don't think that that's true. But it really made it go off. And then the police came to my house, and they started asking me questions, and they started, you know, and then the company I work for was like, hey, what's going on? What's going on here? And it became a whole thing. And if you've ever been canceled, there's a feeling that goes through your body that I can't even describe. It's like you would have to experience it. It's like you can feel it going through your neck. It's like this fright of just stress and uneasiness and anger at the same time, because you know the truth and you want to speak out, and yet you have to wait. You have to let things, and everything ultimately settled down. But it was, it took a long time, and it was really frustrating. And it showed me that people's reticular activation can switch like that. Like someone can love you, and then they can like act like they never met you or say negative things about you or whatever. And it's really amazing. It's really amazing when people have an RAS flip, even if it's for the wrong thing, they can still pile on and become like in this herd mentality. And it's quite bizarre, actually. And it's one of the uglier sides of mankind is when you see like the herd mentality, and people lose their touch with their fellow man. They lose their connection with their fellow man when they're in a herd mentality, and they just fire away. And it's a very barbaric thing. And I think, 600 years ago they would maybe stone you or something or kill you, but now they cancel you on digital platforms and online, and it basically kills you. It kills you for all intents and purposes, unless you want to like clean toilets or something, or so it's how we are as people. It's a very unique thing, sort of our herd-like mentality when we think that we are in the right or something, how we can really just go at something or someone really hard. All right. The other thing that taught me is the police, and I'm going to say this sincerely, but the other thing that sort of being canceled taught me is police will lie. Police will make up things. The police have coercion. They're really not your friend all the time. And they will do things to try to incriminate people. And it's really interesting to see it from the perspective when the police are doing things to you and it's wrong. You're just like, I can see why people want to defund you. And is there a better way? Could we do a private police force, security force? Should we have these people having sovereign immunity where you can't sue them? You just have to let them do what sort of they want, and then maybe they get fired, maybe they don't, but you can't even press charges, And we live in a time where there's cameras now. There's more transparency now than ever. And you think about 50 years ago, 35 years ago, 26 years ago, the behavior of the police and the things they did and how many people's civil rights they violated and how much trauma that they actually imposed. The government as a general rule, because they're not thinking, how do I get better? How can I improve? How do I make more money? They just see things as like a nail, and they got a really big sledgehammer, and they pound away at it. So, there's food for thought when, the experience I had getting canceled taught me that like the police too will go all in. When the herd mentality starts, the police will come for you. And it's a very, unique experience to have that. Another thing that I think I'm unique in that most people probably have not experienced is I've taught every grade, K through 12. Every grade, K through 12. So I've taught every kind of student from age 5 to 19, okay? And I coach college football, so I work with students up to 23, 24 years old. But I've taught every age of student from age K to 12, which is 5-year-olds all the way to 18-year-olds. Here's a couple of things I've learned from that. Most kids are awesome. Most kids are great. Believe it or not, most kids are awesome. And kids read energies very well. And if you have a kind vibration, a good essence, you're non-judgmental, and you really want to, share positive vibration with kids, they can read that, and they'll naturally gravitate to you. Parents just want to see their kid enjoy stuff. They want a good experience for their children. That's what that taught me. Like, parents really just want to see their kid content, happy, in a good atmosphere, That's what that taught me. It also taught me that, like, you can develop patience. Like, you can work on patience. You can develop it. You can sit with some discomfort, and you can just work through the feelings and get more patient. Like, you really can. It's like a muscle. It's like just like your arm, your chest, your squats. Patience can be developed. You just have to sit with it a little longer than you might want to, in any given situation. Kids get a really bad herd mentality. Like, the kids can flip on each other. They can flip on an adult just at the drop of a hat. It's really interesting how you always got to check the thermostat in the room when it comes to dealing with kids, because their RAS flips like that, and it's like Lord of the Flies, you know. So you kind of gotta, you know, you kind of have to do things that help you keep a great relationship with them, so they, you know, see you in a positive light, because they're kids, their brain's not fully developed. But it's amazing how that can happen. The fifth thing that I've experienced that maybe no one else has is, or at least a lot of people haven't, is I've worked for over 6 years between 30 and 40 hours a week, so full-time outside of teaching, with adults with special needs. And that's taught me a lot. It's taught me more than I can even say. The first thing is, when it goes to the patient's things, I can do things I never thought I could do. Working with adults with special needs taught me I can do things that I never thought I could do, like change diapers, like be spit on, like be punched in the face and not want to punch back, you know? And so working with adults with disabilities has taught me, like, when a situation is intense, I can just stand there. I don't have to label it, and it might not be all that bad. Everything may work out just fine, you know? And working with adults with special needs is sort of the ultimate test. It's the ultimate mind game. You know, when you work with enough wide variety of individuals, and they have enough wide variety of behaviors and personalities, you will definitely, you know, learn a lot about yourself, learn what triggers you, learn what you think is upsetting, or learn what you really aren't comfortable with, and how you can develop yourself and your whole evolution of you as a person. So that's what adults was, and it also taught me that, like, working with adults with special needs taught me that, like, you can really grow close and love humans who aren't able to talk or to, you know, communicate even in a rational or intelligent at all way. You know, you can really grow to love and grow close with people who you just see as a soul, you just see as a life, you know, as a person who can't really speak or even walk, but you know that they are alive and they have a personality, and it can really touch your heart. You know, it really does. It can change how you look at things. It changes your, at least for me, it's changed how I view my fellow man, just working with adults with special needs, because I can grow close and get to know individuals that if I saw these individuals with special needs 15 years ago, I couldn't even look them in the eye. You know, I wouldn't even be able to talk to them. I would avoid it. And now I, you know, can know them so well and can positively affect them, and they can positively affect me. So that's what working with adults with special needs has taught me, that, you know, someone with a 52 IQ and, you know, you can have a great relationship with, and you can still learn them and really, you know, grow to love them. The last thing, and I've talked about this so much, but I think unique to me is, you know, I have blood cancer. And having blood cancer is a unique situation because it really never leaves your brain, and yet you're used to it. You know, yet you're used to it. You don't even stress about it per se. So having blood cancer taught me a few things: to make the most of every moment. Having blood cancer taught me that, like, you only have one essence. You only have one energy wave, and you got to go all out. You know, you got to go all out. You have to just see life as a bunch of opportunities that, you know, blood cancer, leukemia taught me that, like, this is our life. Let's expand. Let's grow. Let's make the most of every moment that we have. You know, having leukemia taught me that, like, people are awesome. People are so kind. Having leukemia also taught me that, like, why do we hold back? Why do I feel the need to hold back? I'm going to be dead anyway. Why can't I just speak my truth all the time? You know I'm going to be on my deathbed, and I'm going to wish I would have been stronger and more outgoing and just love my life. And having leukemia has also, like, made me just be like, hey, man, the only reason I need to be happy is the fact that I'm alive. Like, this moment right here, I'm not taking it for granted. You know, I'm not taking it for granted. I'm here with you. You're watching this, and this is the greatest moment of my life. So those things matter to me, each moment, enjoying this moment. I'm expanding and I'm enjoying it too, What if the sweet spot of life is not only expanding and pushing yourself, also though loving every second, like genuinely like having like a warm feeling in your heart that you're alive. Like to me, what good does it do to push and be productive if every moment isn't the greatest moment of your life, or at least has the opportunity to be, just by your natural default setting, And I'm totally into the pragmatic part of life. I invest my money. I work extremely hard. I try to cultivate a great social circle and social life because I want to expand and meet great people. And, I try to optimize every aspect of my life. Also, though, what does it all matter if you're not like, hey, this very moment, this is the most beautiful moment in my life. And as I say that, I feel the warmth inside me. I feel the warmth come up out of my chest. I feel like I'm just being born for the first time, knowing that, like, man, I'm so lucky. The odds of being born are 1 in 400 trillion. So that's the only reason I need to be happy. I've already won the lottery. I've won the lottery from the universe. And however it goes, we're just in heaven. We've already made it, This is heaven on earth, being born and experience different things. This is heaven. So those are 5 things, with a bonus one that I thought I would share and sort of talk about as unique to me,